Welcome back to Till All Are Done, the show where we're reviewing one toy for every character in the Transformers universe. We are speeding through the cast of G1 cartoon characters, and if you want to start from the very beginning, check out the playlist in the description or click the card in the corner. But the best way to stay tuned for new episodes is to subscribe and see which figures I'm going to showcase next. A legendary troupe of Autobots is definitely the Countach-s. You got Sideswipe, who we're going to check out today, Sunstreaker, who's going to be showcased in the next episode, and then later in G1 Season 2 you had Red Alert. Who knows when I'm going to get to him, honestly. There's so many characters still in front of him. Who knows? But we will start with Sideswipe, and boy am I excited for this one. Again, Sideswipe is not that nostalgic for me as he's absent in a lot of the media I watched as a kid, but he was featured in Transformers Armada, which is one of the shows I was absolutely glued to. That was the only touchstone I had of the character until I recently watched G1 and the media for the toy we'll be showcasing in this episode. The War for Cybertron Siege Sideswipe mold, say that a bunch of times in a row, reminds me of the Beast Wars Cheetor mold with how ubiquitous it became. You could get that Cheetor in every color imaginable back in the day, and this Sideswipe is reaching that echelon. And for good reasons really, as they've made this toy with longevity and quality in mind. I've had such a great experience with it so far, and it's time to share my thoughts on what has become one of Hasbro and Takara's most successful toy molds of the modern era, and maybe even Transformers history. Transformers! Starting with the robot mode, I got so excited getting this in hand for the first time. My anticipation was brimming as I drove over to the Kijiji Marketplace seller to pick this guy up just for $15 Canadian. What a deal, and I fucking love this toy. Look at the chest on this thing with the unlicensed Lamborghini Countach hood just folding so nicely in front. Mwah. It's supposed to be a Cybertronian version of a Lambo, so its curves and sharp points are a bit different than what we're used to, but I don't want to spoil the alt mode section. Just know that I think it slaps. I'm impressed with how they proportioned the toy with the massive chest and the back, and it doesn't look completely abnormal or unconventional. Like, it doesn't look as weird as Alternator's Blue Streak like we covered in the last episode. The paint deco goes hard too. I love the colors they decided to choose, opting for a darker maroon shade of red instead of the usual sports car red. Nice choice. It completely fits with the aesthetic of the show it's coming from and translates nicely on the toy. I also like the accents of off-white color found on the forearms, biceps, and a couple other spots. Good choice that looks great with the red and black running throughout the paint scheme. Here is another example of the inconsistency of the battle damage throughout the siege line. This Sideswipe only got some on the shins, feet, and waist, and you know what? I actually like it. I think it's subtle enough to look cool. If they took this less is more approach with most of the figures, it would have been much better. The rest of the toy is completely clean though. Now there's a bit of a what if scenario here. The Netflix capsule line that tied into War for Cybertron has the exact same Sideswipe, except it is completely covered in battle damage, the most I have seen so far. Worse than Starscream even. He looks like he drove through a World War I trench trying to take Vimy Ridge. The what if here is maybe this version was supposed to be in the siege line proper. It fits the aesthetic, right? Most likely it's just a chance to shove it in the throwaway subline. Who cares about Netflix? Sideswipe was a Wave 1 toy, so it's definitely not a response to collectors not liking the battle damage. Even we can't bitch that fast. Anyways, head sculpt looks fantastic and perfectly Sideswipe right down to the blue eyes, silver sculpted face, and the sharp helmet-like shape. It's really great actually. A lot of these aspects of the toy go so hard in the G1 department that we might as well start reimagining the design, because I don't think it's going to improve from here. Without going Masterpiece of course, which he has one. And remember, this isn't Masterpiece, it's a deluxe class budgeted toy. Although I imagine a little more budget went into it. It's not immune to some gaps, especially in the lower legs, but otherwise the build quality is surprisingly super solid. A mini masterpiece. He also comes packaged with two weapons that he can combine together to form his iconic shoulder cannon, instead of placing it with a 5mm peg The black part of the gun has a separate tab that can slot into either side of the shoulder, which is good so they don't leave these big holes inside the shoulders. Cannon side is the left, by the way, but the two pieces can be pegged into the fists and you can dual wield the two parts as well. It's more awkward, but I appreciate the playability. He's also got a ton of peg holes like on the shoulders, forearms, on the lower legs, and even on the bottom of the feet. Okay, I'm sure someone will figure out how to use those foot pegs, maybe with blast effects. Articulation is the weaker part of the package for Sideswipe, but it's still great considering the standards that were for Cybertron set even for deluxe class toys. Head is on a raised ball joint so you can get quite a bit of head tilt in all directions, and of course 360 rotation. Shoulders are more standard but still good. We have pinned shoulders with 90 degrees outwards and 90 degree elbows. 360 bicep swivel, that's good. No wrist swivel, but they do pivot inwards a bit over 90 degrees for what it's worth. Waist can rotate a full 360 degrees unimpeded by the chest hood. Legs can hinge outwards, forwards, backwards 90 degrees. You have pegs for thigh swivels, but it's buried in the leg plastic, so you really have to play around with the hinge and peg to make use of it. Knees go 90 degrees backward, and if you unpeg the shins, you get a crap ton of forward knee bend. I know it's for transformation and it's completely painfully unnatural, but it's really cool how much you get. With this trick, you can cheat and almost get his feet over his head. Speaking of, the feet even get articulation despite how they transform. I'll show you how they transform in a bit, but we almost get 90 degrees of inward ankle pivot, so there's still lots of potential here for great posing, and when the robot mode looks this good, you'll be able to pair him with any modern generation's toy and he will look fantastic. Transformation is smooth as butter. Every limb has a place under the Countach body, and by the end of the transformation, everything is packed so perfectly to the point where nothing is visible unless of course you look at the bottom. Naturally, you'll want to start with the hood, and it was clever to hinge this part of the waist to the hood because it not only helps keep the hood pegged in tightly in the robot mode, but also hides some of the head in the alt mode. Then the arms just fold perfectly into the empty cavity in the body, and the hands in particular fill that space perfectly. Then you flip the doors to tab them in, and the front section transforms super clean. Everything is extra clean looking when you open up the shin panels and stick both of the feet and legs inside. I was going to say the feet are hard to get out when going from alt mode to robot mode, but all you have to do is bend the knees a little bit and they will pop right out. The designers thought of everything here. Once you place the back half of the vehicle in place, you're done, and Sideswipe has never looked better. Beautiful. The Space Countach looks so sleek and aerodynamic. Because this is Siege, this is the Cybertronian version of the faux Countach. Although it doesn't look too different from what we have in modern day, it actually looks like some of the modern day Lambos with its shape. A lot of people are going to seek out the Kingdom version to get that nostalgia hit, but I'm a Cybertronian mode aficionado and I love this look for the alt mode. I really love the way the back end juts out after the windshield ends, and there are two air intakes sticking out, plus there's all of these nice sculpted panels too. The line work for the design is really striking, and I know it's a War for Cybertron thing, but I'm just pointing out how much of it is sculpted in, not even mentioning all the gaps and spots where the sculpting cuts in and out. They must have spent a lot of extra time designing every last detail into it, especially considering how much greebling a lot of these figures have. The color scheme is simple, just that dark red that I love so much, and black with a bit of silver where needed for lights and stuff. But it's all placed exactly where it needs to be, and there's no part of the alt mode where I think it needed more paint. Well, okay, maybe on the back it could have used a bit of silver, but I can forgive this because how fire the sides of the alt mode look. That lovely front hood with the tampograph Autobot symbol, and again, chef's kiss, mwah. Look how beautiful the black transparent plastic windshield looks. Finally, a definitive win for transparent plastic. Suck it. The windshield is a thick grade of plastic, and it's so wonderful when it's not at risk of cracking. No transparent joints either, just a nice grade of plastic that makes this alt mode look even better. Also, no painted parts either. It's just the plastic, not painted, just as is, looking mighty nice. It's perfect. Unfortunately though, because I can never have a 100% complete and flawless victory with this shit, there's a hole in the windshield. The same one where we holstered the weapon on his back in robot mode, so that means we are holstering the weapon here too, and that gets us to the only negative I can muster up about this alt mode. There's options for weapon storage with peg ports on the side of the alt mode and the one on top, but I don't think any of them make the alt mode look good when the weapons are holstered. This is an issue with a lot of modern day Transformers toys, especially if they are some kind of automobile, and Sideswipe isn't exempt here. I don't want to display him with the weapon stuck to him, but it will drive me insane, just batshit bonkers, if I put his weapons aside somewhere. Seriously, I will stay awake at night if I do that. It sucks, but it's not entirely the toy's fault when you gotta attach the weapon somewhere. With all this nice engineering, there is no possible way to stick it inside the toy, that's for sure. The wheels, despite being pegged in, look awesome. The rim design is so sharp looking and looks great paired with this Cybertronian mode. Heck, it will look good with the Earth mode version, so that's what they did. They kept it for the same version too. It rolls great too despite being pegged in wheels, which is generally iffy, but I've been rolling this thing around because I keep taking this thing off the shelf and it's completely fine. I've looked at this alt mode top to bottom and it's just gorgeous. Just a cut above most of the other Sideswipe alt modes throughout the history of its toys. I think it looks even nicer than the Earth mode Kingdom version, but that's controversial in some circles. Long live the Space Countach. Listen, I don't need another G1 inspired Sideswipe toy. Maybe the Kingdom one out of sheer curiosity, but this one is everything I wanted for a G1 version of the character. This toy is a must-have for your collection, and thanks to all the repaints, you can get this mold in every color scheme under the sun. Transformation goes hard, articulation goes less hard but still hard, robot and alt mode, hard. 5 out of 5 stars for this Sideswipe. There's a reason why this mold has 16 versions of it as of recording this video and counting. They just announced a Studio Series Devastation version, and watch there be a Studio Series 86 version of the Earth mode. I would put money down on that. I really wanted this Sideswipe, waited for the opportunity to strike, got it for a good price, and was not disappointed when it finally reached my hands. That's some of the best praise I can give it. I genuinely love this toy, and that puts me in a very interesting position for our next episode. Spoiler, it's Sunstreaker. I was gonna go for an entirely different take on the character, but now, because of this toy, I might want to double down and check out the Earthrise version of Sunstreaker, and it'll be a nice comparison point to this one as well. But that's a conversation for another video. Thank you for watching this one. Let me know down in the comments section if you've experienced this Sideswipe or the Earth mode version, or any of its variants really. They're all very nice. Sunstreaker will be next, so subscribe for when that video drops. And lastly, thank you for spending your time here on the channel, which is growing very fast, by the way. Thank you all for checking it out. I didn't think I'd reach this goal so quickly. I thought it was going to take much longer. Thank you guys. Your time is precious and fleeting, so I am honored that you spend some time here listening to me geek out. Thanks for stopping by, and peace out.